Hi, my name is Lindsay Hansen. I'm a fish biologist and I work in the Grand Canyon. And today I'm going to be reading you a story that I wrote and illustrated called The Adventures of Franny the Flanny. After much pushing and squeezing, a tiny squiggle of a fish wriggled out of her egg and into the water. It was a warm, sunny day in the middle of spring, and the newest Flannelmouth sucker in the Grand Canyon was born. Her name was Franny, and her world was new and bright. Franny blinked open her eyes. The sun was so bright, but the water was so cold. Franny shivered and looked around. "Hello," she called. "Is there anyone there?" To warm up, she started swimming around every rock, looking for another fish to tell her where she was. "Quiet down," yelled a small voice from beneath a rock. Franny turned to find a small gammarus, who said, "You are a Flannelmouth sucker. I have heard there are many more fish like you downstream, thousands of them." "How do I get there?" Franny asked. "Just go with the flow. The current will get you there," the gammarus said. And with that, the gammarus slid back underneath his rock. Taking a deep breath for courage, Franny relaxed as the current took her downstream. Soon, the creek she was hatched in met up with a big river, the Colorado River. As she searched the riverbed for a meal, a giant brown trout spotted her. With the wide open mouth and a powerful push of his tail fin, the trout lunged at Franny. Franny swam with all her might, over and around rocks and sticks as the trout chased her. Faster and faster she swam downstream, with the trout getting closer and closer to her, until all of a sudden, it backed off and swam away. "How strange," thought Franny, slowing her pace but continuing downstream while still looking over her shoulder. What made it stop? And then she heard it, a deep, loud, continuous roaring. She looked toward the noise and saw the water disappearing over a ledge. Because she had been swimming so fast to escape the trout, she hadn't felt the current begin to pick up. Franny fought against the pull of the current, but with no success. She knew she was going over the rapid. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, relaxed, and let the water carry her through the waves. And to her surprise, it was so fun. The bouncy water effortlessly rolled her along, and she felt butterflies in her belly as she went over each drop. "Woohoo!" Franny exclaimed. "How thrilling!" As the current slowed and she was pushed out into calmer waters, Franny caught her breath again. "I sure hope there are more rapids downstream." Suddenly feeling hungry, Franny looked around this new part of the river. Something was different about it. There were more sticks, leaves, and bugs in the water here than there were above the rapid. While munching on some tasty algae near the shore, Franny felt a shadow cover the sun. She looked up to see that it wasn't a cloud covering the sun. It was a giant bird, a great blue heron, with camouflaged legs that were as still as sticks, pointed its beak at Franny, and jabbed. A near miss. Franny jumped out of the way and fled into deeper waters. She decided she would take shelter among the rocks and sticks when swimming in the shallows in the future. After rounding the bend, she saw the brightest teal water she could imagine flowing out of a side stream. Drawn to it, she thought, it couldn't hurt to take a little pit stop and see the view, right? The water there was as warm as a hug. Franny could hear something in the distance. It was not a roaring sound like the rapid. It sounded instead like voices. In a wide blue pool with a soft white floor swam a whole group of the strangest fish Franny had ever seen. They had big humps on their silvery backs and were slender and dainty. They were dancing and darting so quickly. Franny approached these fish. "Excuse me, "Who are you?" she asked. One of the fish turned around and put a fin around her. She said, "Goodness, a Flanny, what are you doing up here? Welcome to the Little Colorado River. We are humpback chub, and we love it here. Come, join us. There are plenty of bugs to eat." Warily, Franny slurped down a couple of bugs. They were tasty enough, but hard to get a grip on. Her mouth was just not shaped right to gulp down a big bug in one go. But the taste was delicious. The small bugs were easy to eat, and the warm water and abundant food made her feel big and strong. "Can I stay here with you?" Franny asked of her new humpback chub friends. "This place is the best." "You can stay if you like," replied one of the chubs. "But there is so much more to explore in the Grand Canyon. You should continue your journey through the rest of the river. We think you will find a great surprise there. A strong flannelmouth sucker like you can always swim up the rapids and come back to visit." With that, Franny left the Little Colorado River and returned to the main Colorado River. Frolicking through the rapids, she bumped into the biggest fish she had ever seen. It was smooth and yellow and only had 2 fins. It wasn't swimming in the water, but floating on top of it. What a strange fish. Where were its eyes? Franny jumped out of the water to take a closer look. This giant fish wasn't a fish at all, but a raft. It had humans on board, whooping and hollering as they went down the rapids after Flanny. Soon after, the wind picked up and the sky opened. A monsoon. Rains smacked the surface of the river and washed so many exciting things into the water. Mud, leaves, bighorn sheep poop, and bugs swirled around in the rising waters. Franny could feel the electricity from the lightning pulsing around her. But the rain didn't stop, and more mud washed into the river. Franny could hardly see. When the rain finally stopped, the muddy water started to clear up. Franny rubbed her eyes and looked around. It was so warm down here. In the distance, she saw a shape sitting at the bottom of the river. It looked strangely familiar. "Hello, who's over there?" Franny called through the murk. Out of the deep green water swam not 1, not 2, not 3, but a whole school of fish that looked just like Franny. They even had fleshy lips like she did. "Hey there," said one of the Flannys. "My name is Fred. We heard you were headed this way. Welcome." "Their names are Fabio, Fatima, and Fang," said Fred. "You look hungry. Come with us. We'll show you how to eat." Fatima encouraged her. "All you have to do is eat the greens growing near the rocks. You'll be treated to a delicious algae salad. This is the best food for a Flanny to eat if you want to go bigger and stronger." Franny watched as Fabio and Fang munched on some fresh-smelling green blobs from the bottom of the river. Franny gave it a try. She approached a piece of algae by swimming close and pulled up a piece with her mouth. Wow, it really was delicious. Franny's new friends taught her how to live in the river as a flannelmouth sucker fish that she was. She learned how to munch on algae with her sucker mouth. She learned how to use her powerful tail to jump up rapids so she could visit her friends in all parts of the river and return to the place where she was born. She learned how to rest when storms washed dirt into the water and how to hide when predators loomed overhead. At last, from the ancient knowledge she learned from her new friends, Franny knew where to find food, shelter, safety, and community. At last, Franny understood the Grand Canyon. At last, Franny knew the Colorado River. At last, Franny finally felt at home. The end.